Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Racers Driving League for Season 18, round number 15 of the Championship. Welcome along to the Dutch Grand Prix. I'm your host, RC, here to bring you through all the action for what should be a very fantastic evening of racing. I'm going to get underway for qualifying here very early on here at Zandvoort. Of course, the absolute bull ring that is this circuit has always been chaos over the last few years of racing. Should hopefully produce another spectacle for us here tonight as the first few cars emerge out onto the racetrack, being led out by the Mercedes of Red J. It's a rarity to see a car other than Imri leading us out for qualifying, but he is out on the racetrack now too. Of course, last week's race was obviously thoroughly entertaining, those of you who missed it, over in the Ardennes Forest of Belgium. Grumio taking another victory on the board, so he increased his championship lead a little bit by, so that he leads by 43 points now to Che in second place. So of course Che will be looking to try and fight back and try and close in on some of those points at a circuit that he's won at before in this league. But of course, the defending winner is also on the racetrack, that defending winner being Landlord, who narrowly snatched victory over Grumio in the closing meters. After qualifying the last time he came here, or rather missing qualifying, he came back in, blitzed the opposition and managed to win the race only just. One of the narrow margins in, at least in my time commentating on RDR. We'll keep an eye on the reigning champion of this race as he comes through to start his first flying lap here. So we'll take you on our circuit, a lap of Zandvoort with the DRS zone coming into play, going out of turn 13 and through 14. It's a long run down towards that first corner. The first lap gets underway for Landlord. So into turn 1, the braking at the 50 metre board going in, trying to avoid a bit of a lock up there on the right front. On corner exit and down towards turn 2. And of course leads immediately, almost immediately into the banked left-hander of 3. Sticks to the inside here, you can run almost whatever line you want through there really. Through turn 4, and obviously turn 6 will mark the end of the first sector, so see what sort of split he comes up with first time round. Of course, we'll be setting the benchmark likely. 24.5 on the board. Through turn 7, taking very, almost flat out. Into 8, difficult to get right. Of course, a mistake there can lead to go into those curves that could send you off to the gravel trap. Turn 9, and immediately into 10. And the first of the 2 DRS zones on the circuit. Down towards turn 11. 48.5 is Landlord split. Through chicane at turn 12. Just 2 corners away now. And potentially we could be looking at a tow from that Mercedes in front. I believe that is Red J. So it could really help Landlord's time as he runs up towards the line to complete his first lap. And the first time on the board will be Red will minute 11, but Lando with 1 minute 9.6. That would the time to beat Imri. Oh, Imri, a thousandth of a second off already. Look how close that is between those two to kick things off. Gut-wrenchingly close in the opening moments as Che goes faster than both of them, about half a second or so. 1 minute 9.1 on the board for the driver, second place in the World Championship. Matthew taking second place. The time's dropping like flies already here as Imri puts the car out wide at turn 3. I think likely so, and enough there. That will probably be his first lap down the board already. And they're P6. So his teammate fastest for now, about 7/10 faster than Dan's been. And we've got two drivers who I believe making their debuts. I think Brushman we've seen before in at least one race. But one driver who I know for sure is making a debut as a reserve will be DRMV HB Cook. She's driving in the Alpine tonight. 20 cars on the grid, so HB Cook reserving in place of Curtis this evening. And Brashman reserving for 10th Cannon in the Red Bull. Of course, two drivers who are in the top 10 of the championship right now. Of course, 10th currently working on closing the gap to Websy in 6th place in the standings. The gap there sitting 114 for Websy and then 77 for 10th Cannon. So a gap to be closed over the course of the last third or so of the season. Of course, we're getting closer and closer to the end of the campaign. We're almost 2/3 of the way through now. Of course, next week's race at Monza will be marking the fourth 100% race of the season. So it should be very exciting. Full-length Grand Prix. But for now, though, it is just 36 laps around Zandvoort tonight as Landau comes through, are likely to head back into the pits after his very good first run. But, of course, still time to be gained there. Of course, Che, obviously, the fastest by quite some way. Grimio, though, has managed to bridge the gap a little bit. He sits in second place, 1 minute 9.232 on the board. It's about just over a tenth to Cott in third place. Of course, Cott's been fantastic in qualifying himself recently. Matthew P4, of course, hot off his first RDL points as a full-time driver in fourth place. Both the two reserves in the top 10. EJ there, because he also scored himself last time out. And almost everyone has set time already, which is quite quick. And look how close things are right now. Have a look at the gap through the entire field. Look at that, 14 cars all covered by just under a second. And that could get a heck of a lot closer. Look at the cars who are outside of a second. Ben, we know he can find time. JB will likely be able to find some. Ethan, Obsessed. Red J is a conundrum, but hopefully we'll be able to get him some into Q2. Of course, Red J is seen as capable of the Q2 appearances. As he scored points this race last season, it must be remembered. So we're looking to try and go back to back. This be one of the two. This circuit and Monza next week, he mentioned to me with the 2-1s, he's looking to try and score some more points out, given he scored points there before. A pair of 8th place finishes were the marks for those two races last season. And I think we should potentially be due some rain over the course of qualifying, or perhaps during the race, but I'm not sure as to when. So let's keep an eye on the halos here when we do see the raindrops starting to fall. And perhaps that's why everyone else out on the racetrack so early. But Connie Goblin's left it for the bit. Of course, we're used to that by now. Of course, we've seen it quite a lot over the last few seasons. But if there is rain coming, then you don't want to have him run the risk of staying in the pit lane and not setting a dry lap. And obviously, as a result, then immediately qualifying last. Imri on out lap here, looking for improvements. P6 right now, 1,000th off a Landlord in P5. Of course, managed to secure a podium last week. Of course, RB lead the Constructors' Championship for the first time in quite a while. I think for the first time all season. As they, in terms of gap, they now currently sit just 1 point clear of Ferrari in the standings. So it's going to be very close to those two teams in particular, as it has been all season. But RB have closed that gap to Ferrari, which was 60 plus points at one stage during the season, but Grumio and Lando as a collective have outperformed the Ferraris over the course of the last 6 to 7 races. Got a spin there at turn 12. That is JB on his outlap, so fortunately it wasn't a timed run. Ben retired from the session there. That'd be a dangerous spot to retire, given he's in P15 right now. If one more car improves, then he's out to qualifying. Not sure if he just disconnected or not sure what happened there. Alvaro is out on the racetrack, so Ben's retired the car in the pit lane by the looks of it. So this could be disconnect. And there's the rain. It's starting to fall now. And that will likely mean it was falling over in sort of around turns 4, 5, and 6. And that will likely mean that qualifying will be, I think Q1 will be cut a bit short. If I was cutting the Goblin, I'd want to get on the track now and try and set a dry lap to try and have a chance getting into Q2 before the track gets too wet. Imrie coming in. I think he knows his second run is done. JB retiring. JB's out of qualifying. I think this will likely be it for the first part of the session. And getting through Q1 mightily quick here. Now JB, of course, he's linked up in a number of those Q1 eliminations over the course of the season, which is obviously very un-JB-like, as we've said, they do so well in qualifying in the past. As Dan destroys the pit entry bollard coming in. Is Reggie still on the racetrack here? Majority of cars are retired here. We're just waiting on 7 more. 6 of them in the pits, and one of them is out in the circuit. So you can see the rain falling now, and that might make qualifying very interesting. Well, it might make the rest of qualifying very interesting, rather. There are still 8 minutes to go, but I imagine that we should see everyone retire early, and obviously as a result, find out who goes out. So JB, Ethan, Obsessed, Red J, and Cockney Goblin looks to be your bottom 5. But I think Red J looks to try and get a bit of improvement if he can, but of course he hasn't validated his lap. So that'll do it once everyone pulls into the pits and retires the car. In comes Red J. And that'll do it for his first run, and Red J is out of qualifying. At this point, if Q1 to be cut short then. Ethan retiring, just waiting on Red J and Cockney Goblin now. And that'll do us for Q1. So going through to Q2 then, Chase at the fastest time. Grumio second, Cot runs at the top 3. That's Matthew and Landlord 4th and 5th. Imrie, Dan, Brashman, Websy and HB Cook round at the top 10. EJ, AT, Alvar, PJ and Ben will all go through to Q2. JB, Ethan, Obsessed, Red J and Cockney Goblin are out. And hopefully we won't have to wait 6.5 minutes to get to the end of the session. So it appears that we're going to be sat here for a minute or two here, and obviously the rain continues to fall from the from the sky, I suppose. Just waiting on Cockney Goblin here. It's the last one to retire. I think we're set for the next 4.5 minutes. I'm not sure what the game plan is there. I'm still here. I was just muted for a minute just to just as we were waiting, but obviously not a lot of on-track action right now. So I mean, I'm really not sure what more to say here. Obviously a very thrilling end to qualifying, but obviously projections, you never really know what could happen at going to Q2 and Q3 if the rain continues to help the circuit. Likely we'll be looking at intermediates for the second run. Whether it gets any heavier and we need to go to wets will be an unknown, at least for the next 10-15 minutes or so. I think Obsessed is going to go P1. Okay, if that happens, I will. I'll think of something. But let's just enjoy the peace that surrounds the Zandvoort circuit for now before it becomes a war zone later on. I say a war zone. It is. There was a point in time where this circuit used to be a lot more chaotic. I think we were talking sort of F122, F1 2021 as well. The earlier races that I commentated here in RDL, at least in terms of when we went to Zandvoort. But in the last 2 seasons or so, it's been a bit more tame. I'd say that the racing has still been amped up. It's been very exciting across the years, but obviously the DRS trains are heavier at circuits such as this. So largely we'll be keeping an eye on over the course of the Grand Prix. So 2 minutes to go then, and Cockney Goblin's lined up some intermediate tyres. So I think we might actually see him out on the racetrack here, and see what he's got lined up, what he's got up his sleeve. So the rain continues to fill up the circuit. Just waiting here to see if he will head out on the circuit and try and get a lap in last minute. I do wonder what they're doing in that Red Bull garage. And there it is. Well, there we have it. So Che Fast in Q1, Grumio second, Cott third, Matthew fourth, and Landlord rounds out your top 5. Then it's Imri, Dan, Brashman, Websy, and HB cook the top 10. EJ, AT, Alvar, PJ, and Ben will go through. Then JB, Ethan, Obsessed, Red J, and Cockney Goblin all find their exit in Q1. And Ethan, despite being eliminated from the first round, is very very excited in the chat, as I can see, which is always good. Now we're on to Q2, and we'll see in terms of pace what these guys have lined up on the intermediate tyre. Of course, 15 drivers in the session, 5 of them to go out, the remaining 10 to go through. And my Nightbot, for some reason, has got to be Ethan's comment, which is good. I shall be sacking Nightbot shortly. But in the meantime, though, we have got Q2 to think about. The rain looks ever so slightly heavier than it did during Q1. It looked a fair bit lighter than that, or that could be me imagining things. But we'll see here what the plan is and what sort of tyres everyone goes on to. I imagine it'll be inters for most, if not all, of the drivers on this first run. But if anyone takes the plunge and goes for soft tyres, we'll have to wait and see. But for now, though, we'll wait for the first few cars to head out onto the circuit. Being led out by Grumio here. So we'll see. It looks like Inter's for everyone at this stage. out the circuit. Two RBs, first cards out. Again, a second session in a row here where Imrie was not the first car out the racetrack. That is a rarity in the RDL. Now we can get some action going on the racetrack once again. The slide there for Imrie going to turn 7. I think perhaps going a bit going a bit too hot there. If we get a sense of Tokyo Drift here if we're not too careful. If we can try and catch one person who sort of catches the slide really well on the stream, I think that'd be a good judge to the day. Imrie backs off to plan on a bit of room there. Grumio will be the first car through to set a lap. And towards the line, start the first lap. So we'll see in terms of how much difference there is. Of course, the braking distance is a bit longer now, given the current conditions. But the rain doesn't look to be getting any heavier at this point, so I think we'll keep it as it is for now. But Grumio is sliding the car there, going through turn 3. Turn on the telemetry here, see exactly what's going on inside the cockpit of that machine. 26.7 the first sector. About a second and a half slower than the fastest sector one time. That's the sort of pace deficit we're looking at around here, given the conditions. Hot lap mode on for the majority of the lap so far. And of course, overtake I imagine will be deployed out of turn 10 here. .3.4, your second sector for your reigning champion and championship leader, as well as last week's winner, of course, took victory in Belgium. 2 corners to go, and we'll see what sort of time Grumio stacks up. And we'll see behind it shortly if either Landlord or Imrie can try and top it. Grumio's the line, 1 minute 16.6 on the board. Landlord next car through. What can he do? 118.1, 116.8 for Imrie. So Landlord didn't off the pace a little bit there on that first lap. About a second and a half behind his teammate. PJ P4, AT and P5. There goes Che and Dan in there at the top of the board. P3, P4. Good run for the Ferraris there. Brashman P5 doing a fantastic job so far. As of right now, beating, of course, former champion of the series, Landlord. Matthew P7, EJ8, then it's PJ and AT. The 10 cars have set times so far. Cock crosses the line there. HB cooks the line. We'll see those in wet conditions. P12, slowest time so far. Ben at 19.3. Here comes Alvar for the last 2 corners here. So the rain doesn't look to be any heavier. Alvar to the line, 118.5. P9 from right now. So the field now a lot more spread out compared to how they were in Q1. Of course, the majority of the pack covered by less than a second. It's gone from 14 cars being covered by less than a second to just 4. Make that 5 as Lionel comes through a second time. We're at 17.5. Big improvements on the board from there. Still 10 minutes, so plenty of time for things to change. Imrie into the pit lane though. First car back in the pits after a very successful first run. Grumio did improve on his second lap there. Of course, you can go a few laps more on the intermediate tyres. Qualifying session that you can on the softs. Brashman into the pits. Got a good first run this session. We're currently in the spots that will qualify for Q3. PJ up by just under a 10th there in the first sector. And going through into sector 2 now. You want to be careful of those curbs going out of turn 8 and towards 9. The curbs in between there on the outside of the racetrack are a death knell if you go onto those. And you can hear the engine struggling in that kick salver, as of course these guys try and navigate the wet conditions. Of course, a lack of stability, a lack of traction overall definitely doesn't help these guys. especially in the flat out corners such as this one. But no lifting done for PJ. Grumio fastest again, 1 minute 16.008. As PJ, did he get damage there? He might have just missed it. We'll double check before we switch over to someone else. See if he did perhaps drop an end plate coming into pit slamming that wall. I think he's all okay, so we'll continue on someone else as we are. The two Ferraris P2, P3 now. So both managed to top Imri's time. Imri back on the circuit now on those, on what I imagine is a fresh set enters here. Yellow flag, 2 yellow flags. 3 yellow flags? Someone's going slowly. And that'll be Dan letting Imri go. Che let them go too. Yes. So these two have always been sort of one behind the other in terms of qualifying performances. They've done a lot of things as a team tonight. Of course, several 1-2 finishes, especially early on in the campaign. Che has taken, I believe, 4 victories. I believe 4 victories. I could be wrong. I believe it could be 3. Won the first round in Bahrain. Managed to. If I double check my the spreadsheet here. Che won over 3 races this season. So 1 in Bahrain, 1 China, and of course 1 just 2 weeks ago in Hungary. But of course, the number of winners this season, 4 of them to be exact. Grumio has taken 9 wins over the course of this campaign. Che has taken 3, and 1 each for Landlord and Dan. But of course, Landlord still in 5th place in the championship, currently 8 points up rather from Imri. So that gap is closing, and it looks like so the rain has stopped here. So we're looking at drivers putting on some soft tyres, and that could change things up. As the track returns to its original conditions, and that definitely made things interesting for, I think, for now. Whether we'll see more rain over the course of the race weekend is yet to be seen. Is there a chance we see a wet, dry race? That could be very interesting. No DRS in play as of yet, I'm not too sure. Yes, no DRS for now, and that'll obviously make laps a lot faster. We're going to be a half a second up here, so already finding time in the on the dry circuit, despite still be on the inters. And Alvar goes fast. It's 1 minute 15.973, and we'll see the times start to drop fast here. I imagine Grumio will likely top that time for the last corner now, unless he comes in to put on soft tyres. He'll stay on the track one more time and go for another lap towards the line. 1 minute 15.121. It's 8.5 tenths faster. And Imri coming oh so close to matching it again. 23 thousandths off the top time as of right now. And that's on the intermediate tyre. Dan P3 over the line. Chasing the pit lane here. Number of cars coming in this time to make their changes on the soft tyres and go for a run to try and get themselves into Q3. And plenty of time. There's still 6 minutes to go. Of course, a lap here takes about 1 minute and 15 seconds. So you'd want to be out there within the last 2.5 minutes. Side there from HB Cook as he comes through turn 9. It's always exciting when a new driver they be using the RDL either as a reserve or as a full-time driver. But often nowadays, especially this season, a lot of drivers have come through as reserves first before getting their seats as full-time drivers. Of course, it's been Aston Martin who've been doing a lot of the changes so far in this campaign. The only team to currently have a completely different lineup compared to their what they started the season with. 5 different drivers have raced for that team this campaign. Of course, James, I scrap that, only 4, because 5 were entered, but only 4 of them have raced. I don't believe James did a race. He may have done, I believe he may have done either Australia or Japan. I'm not too sure. I think he might have been Japan. So I think they've all done at least 1 race. Scrap that. So, James, Duck has done a race. Yogolu did a few races. And so now we have the current lineup of EJ and AT. Both of them looking to try and get through to Q3. Both of them in the Q3 spots right now. But still time to go to set those soft tyre laps. So we'll see what they've got in the bag. Brashman through is in P11 right now. 2.5 seconds off the top time. Come through the grass there going into turn 3. I'm going to try and avoid doing that. But for the most part, keeping his Red Bull firmly under control. Through turn 10, DRS in play once again. And a purple second sector, 51.9. Has he got what it takes to try and challenge the top guys in the order? Two more turns left to go. Through turn 14 to try and finish this lap off strong. It's in P13 for now. But as he comes to the line, 1 minute 14.3, and the reserve, Brashman, goes fastest. Of course, still, as I say, time to be gained, but mighty fast there on his run on the softs. And it's always promising, as I said, when we have a reserve making their debut, when they're fast as well, that makes it even better. HB Cook and P5 for now. And the way things are shuffled out right now is Websy, AT, EJ, Ben and Matthew in the bottom 5. And there's 3 minutes to go, so they want to start getting out on track for their last runs. Q2 are almost always entertaining here. It'd be hard pressed to find a Q2 that isn't in this league. PJ to second place now, 1 minute 14.7 his best lap. I imagine we'll see late laps from almost everyone in the field. Imri's on the circuit. I imagine we'll see Grumio out shortly once Landlord gets cleared away. But Landlord in P8 right now, could that be a concern in terms of how long there is left? Because he's going to get that car back out on track quickly here. I imagine he's got just over a minute to get the car back on track again. AT fastest there. 1 minute 13.7. The time's getting quicker and quicker here. And that'll put Che in P10. Che's out of the circuit right now, but he's in P10 for now. He's the last car staying in the session. Both Williams cars in the bottom 5 right now. EJ's in the bottom 5. Ben and Matthew still there. EJ coming through to start will likely be his last proper lap of the session. PJ fast now, 1 minute 12.9. This is going to be very exciting. I mean, we could potentially see a car, or more than one car, qualify out of position for this race. Grumio heads back out there. He's got time. Ben is in P14 right now. He's coming through turn 14 now. Matthew in last. And coming into the last sector. A minute to go. So we've got a minute to get around to the line. Literally everyone's on the circuit right now. There's no one in the pit lane. Everyone's either on time run or on an outlap. In very fast in the first sector. Couldn't quite see his time. But I imagine it was quick. There's a purple one on the mini map. And going towards turn 10. What's he got lined up? DRS in play. Still half a tank of batteries to play around with. Williams moving out the way there. 2.5 seconds up. This could be around 1 minute 12.5 at this stage. And that's just after sector 2. Websy is still waiting for a number of cars to come through here. As EJ goes fast, it's 1 minute 12.6. I think Imri sets top about a tenth or so as he comes towards the line based on sector 2 lap. 1 minute 11.3 on the board for Imri. Che in the bottom 5. 15 seconds to go. And I think everyone's going to just make it here. Getting close for Websy. Up towards the line, but he will do it. So we'll get a lap in at the last second. Checkered flags for him. PJ, the only car in the pits. Next through to the line will be the McLaren of Ben. Ben goes fastest. 1 minute 11.298. Fantastic lap for him. Next up will be Che, currently P12. Almost 4 seconds improvement. I imagine we'll likely be on trying to take pole here. 1 minute 10.8. Che fastest. Matthew into pole himself. 1 minute 10.714. Dan can't break the trend of poles with the fastest cars. He goes second. But into Q3 most likely. 80 off the last to 1.7 up. Towards the line. 18 to P4. Caught fast. There's Imri down in P7 now. This could be a concern for him. He's retired. The car over the line. That's HB Cook into Q3. And we've still got a number of cars that are still quick coming towards the line. Brashman's going through here. Brashman P2. Grumio fastest and that knocked Imri out. Landlord P4. And where is Websy? Websy P7. So there we go then. And we're still ending up with quite a solid Q3. And that all turned in a flash for Imri. That was an absolute scrap for position, and that is what qualifying is meant to be all about. So change conditions means that once again the top 10 separated by less than a second. Grumio fastest, Cot second, Brashman P3, left Landlord fourth, and Matthew rounds it your top 5. Dan, Websy, Che, Alvar, and HB Cook narrowly move on to Q3. AT, Ben, Imri surprisingly, EJ, and PJ all go out. And what a Q3 this is shaping up to be. If it's anything like Q2 was, obviously the change conditions helped make that more entertaining, but this should be a very, very exciting end to the session. Of course, will hopefully give us a very good qualifying order going into the Dutch Grand Prix. But it's time now for the shootout pole position to commence. It's time for Q3. So time then for Q3, the last 12 minutes to decide who takes pole position for the Dutch Grand Prix, round 15 of the championship. In terms of teams getting their cars into Q3, 3 teams got both their cars, 3 of those teams being the top 3 in the Constructors' Championship. To my mind, if I double check, because I believe Williams is the car. No, Williams is the car in 4th place now. Those are tied for 3rd place with Haas, so ignore that for now. But both RBs, both Ferraris, and both Williams cars are into Q3. Matthews the lone Haas, the lone Alpine in HB Cook. Both reserves got through, the McLaren of Alvar and the Red Bull of Brashman. So we're all set for what should be perhaps the most entertaining fight for pole position of the season if Q1 and Q2 are anything to go by. Hopefully this will be mighty entertaining. Make your predictions for who's going to take pole position down the chat, because this could be very close. My money, truthfully, would be on Grumio, often the favourite in qualifying. And I always point out his fantastic record a couple of seasons ago, back in season 14, taking 19 pole positions out of 23 races. It was very, very impressive stuff. And since then, he hasn't really been able to replicate that form, where the drivers the likes of Cot have come around. Che, obviously fantastic in qualifying as always. Imri has always been fantastic in quali. Number of cars who have come through and challenged that reign, and since then we haven't had a qualifying record that dominant in a season. We're doing a big lock up there in turn 1 as the first few cars take on their first time laps. And it's fantastic because we ended up with a Q3 that no one really feels out of position in this one. Of course, one could argue the reserves, but we were going into this race, we had no clue in terms of pace what we were looking at. Grumio into the end of the second sector. 47.9. Another lock up there going into turn 11. Giving the last corner now. And the first on the ball, 1 minute 8.7. So plenty more pace on offer. Websy second fastest. Dan now second fastest. Where does Che go? Che towards the line. 1 minute 8.9. So it's a bit of work to be done to try and catch his championship rival. Brashman off the last corner towards the line himself. Landor P5, 1 minute 16.9. Brashman P5, 1 minute 9.6. Then Matthew P6 now. Landor with the slowest car, you imagine, in terms of his first laps. I was saying that Matthew 1:16.2, so that's the same sort of mistake. Out of our last corner. Last cars come through and set a lap time. Everyone else looks at the laps here. So out of our 7th fastest, so your order of so far after these first runs: Grumio, Che, Cott, Dan and Websy, and Brashman, Alvar, Hateley Cook, Matthew and Landor. So those are your opening times. I imagine we'll likely be waiting for one more run for everyone in the session. Whether they'll go back to the pit lane and go at the same time later on, we'll have to wait and see. Whether we see anyone go for a sort of almost a bonus run in between is another question. Bringing a Landlord here playing some sort of game in terms of just one giving a toe to the other, but Che, Dan and Websy are all coming in. But what are the RBs got up their sleeve? Both cars backing off, and I think likely they'll be out of fuel. And I hope they have enough fuel to go back to the pits, because that'd be a concern if they didn't. So first run's complete, and again everyone separates by almost a second. HB Cook, one exception, being 1.1 seconds off the pace. Of course, further news in terms of in the F1 game community today, of course, with F1 25's cover being announced. Of course, Lewis Hamilton, the cover star this year by himself. In terms of on the Champions Edition, of course, a spot that was held by Max Verstappen in the recent games for the last few years. And of course, speculation will begin in terms of the brand new game and who is on pace on said new game. As both, I think both Landon and Matthew both run out of fuel here. They have, so both of them narrowly getting back to the pits to go for another run. 6 minutes to go. Everyone in the pit lane right now, save for Brashman, who's on the second run. But of course, with the new game, always comes a risk of perhaps a change in physics, change in handling in some way. Of course, that can always benefit certain drivers compared to others. Of course, a driver I often put in on this front would be Websy, who for the most part was a fantastic driver, but seemed to, for the first few seasons I was here, used to be sort of middle of the road until season 15. Of course, the F1 23 dropped. He managed to win a race early on in Azerbaijan, and from there was a contender to try and win the Drivers' Championship, especially later on in the campaign. But unfortunately lost out to C110P fan of the final round in Brazil. But still, as a result, a fantastic season. Since then, Websy has been a regular contender. Of course, taken victory since then, most recently being in Miami of last season after a fantastic battle on the final lap with a number of good cars. As of right now, of course, the championship has been all Grumio and Che this season. Of course, everyone else over 100 points back from the pair of them, or at least 100 back from Grumio. Che is 82. He's 62 points clear rather of Dan. Brashman and Alva both on the racetrack now. Brashman was up in the first sector by 600ths. We'll see if he's got any more time to gain here in sector 2. Almost a quarter of a second. And that could try and put him upper place into P7, obviously even P6 if his last sector goes well. Could we see Brashman in the third row? It's been impressive to see both rookies get through to Q3. Oh! What just happened there? It was a shunt and a half. I looked down for just a second. I felt like he's got no wing on his car. Well, that'll be an unfortunate end to the run. And I wonder if he's going to have enough time to fix that. I'm looking back on the stream replay on my side as to what's just happened to Brushman there. Oh, that's a big shunt. I don't know how I missed that. Okay, right. Apologies. I looked away for just a moment and ran the car off into the water, turn 14. Well, that might be an ender to Brushman's session. As everyone now enters the pit lane. I'll be waiting now for everyone to come up their last runs. Which I imagine won't be too long away. And for any aspiring commentators, that's why you do not take your eyes off the action, not for a second, in case something like that happens, because that wouldn't be the first time I've missed that sort of thing. So we're just waiting now for someone to emerge from the pits for this final part of the session, and we'll get the last scraps to see who will take pole. This should be a very, very exciting end to the session. Of course, we'll take this moment to say that if you are new to the RDL or if you are new to the channel, because this is your first time, then do consider subscribing because it really helps us out over here. Of course, allows us to keep on doing these brilliant streams. But if not, regardless, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for choosing RDL to spend your Monday evening with. And here we go now. The last runs getting set to begin here. Dan's the first car out to the circuit. The two Ferraris going out first. Their run plans together as always. Landlord is... that's Brushman joining them. HB Cook on the way out. Cott joining them now, just in front of the Alpine. And this will hopefully be a great scrap as it always did the Q2 for pole position. I think Grumio and Landlord are likely to be the last ones out of the pits. And everyone out except Alvar. There he goes. Alvar on the circuit. So here we go then. Final laps getting on the way. And I wonder if Alvar will make it. It's going to be very close. First car through the set time will be Dan. Unless he and Chase swap places. And Brushman right behind these two. What can he pick up from one of the strongest pairings on the grid, one of the strongest pairings all season, being right behind these guys? Could he watch pole lap potentially from behind the car, or could he set one himself? Here we go. Big block up there for Dan at turn 1. Cop starting his lap. HB Cook over the line. Matthew coming past the line now. Webb's into turn 14. And now going full blast. So no, he's on to the pits. Well, an early end to Webb's last run. He's sticking it there for some reason. There we go. Alvar, I think, will narrowly make it. The few seconds to spare. Come through with 7 seconds left on the board. So with that in mind, then the checkered flag will get ready to fall. And we'll see who's got the speed. Is Che getting a toe from Dan there? Oh, he's caught for second up. Big Dan has sacrificed his last lap to give Che a chance at pole position. And I mean, we've seen these two work together before, but that's another level. Che, final corner. Looking for provisional pole. Checker flag is up. Che across the line. 1 minute 8.5. That's going to be tough to beat. Grimio's a 10th and a half up in his first sector. Webb's P7, Dan P5. Here comes Cock towards the line. Cock stays 4th. HB Cook. His first RDL session has him P10 on the board. Matthew P8 right now. Matthew at 3rd place there. Fantastic lap. Lando was up almost under 2/10. Grimio was up a quarter of a second. And that might be enough for him potentially. Landlord towards the line. Can he get himself on the front row potentially? Landlord to 3rd. Grimio might take pole here. He does. 1 minute 8.432 for Grimio, and he will lead Che to turn 1. Alvar will take P9, and that'll do it for qualifying. Fantastic end there to the session. I thought Che had it for a second, but Grumio came through and takes up another pole position this season. And the run continues, so it's tough for Che to beat Grumio to the first corner. But we've said it before. We've seen these two duel at it together. So there is your top 10. Grumio on pole, Che second. On the front row, row 2 will be Landlord and Matthew. Row 3, Cott and Dan. Row 4, Brashman and Websy. And row 5, Alvar and the debuting HB Cook. So that is qualifying. And we'll be back in a minute or two for the start of the race. So here we go then, time to get the Dutch Grand Prix underway. Round 15 of Season 18 of the Racing League. And let's have a look at the circuit. There is the circuit. Zandvoort course has often been a war zone, to say the least. 14 corners, 36 laps. Che, your defending winner of this race. And I think I'm going to get my facts wrong. Because I know Landlord won the race to the line, but I believe Che had a penalty removed. Perhaps that may have made him the winner overall. But a fantastic race that was from Landlord, come back to the field to get him into place. But we'll see if he can defend that title going into tonight's event. And it's really anyone's game at a circuit such as this one. Of course, we had rain in qualifying, no risk of rain in the Grand Prix. And we are about 30 seconds away from the start of the formation lap here. And everyone ready up. And we'll see. Waiting the last few seconds here. I'll get underway. Obviously, we'll take the starting lap and as well as starting tyres. And here we go. The lights are coming on, and it's a full 20-car grid with 2 reserves in the lineup. We'll take you through the starting grid as we get underway. For the formation laps on the back row, then it's Courtney Goblin lining up dead last alongside Red J in P19. Those two starting the only two starting the hard tyres. It's going longer on their first stints as Courtney Goblin has not moved off the line. And away he goes. There we go. So Obsessed Gamer lands up on a soft tie, starts from 18th place alongside Ethan on row 9, Ethan on the mediums. There's JB, another Q1 elimination for him, but obviously we saw him fight back from that in Belgium last time out, so we'll see what we can recover to in the race. PJ lands up P15, also on the medium tyre, as well as EJ on the mediums, of course, scored his first points last week. Rare Q2 elimination from Imri, lands up P30, went a bit too early in that last round, but he starts on the soft tyre, trying to go for a stronger first stint. Ben lines up P12, that's AT's in front in P11, of course AT's still hunting his first points of the season. He and Reggie are the only 2 cars not to score. HB Cook makes his reserve debut, first race in the RDL overall for Alpine, replacing Curtis tonight. Alvar takes P9, he starts on the medium tyre, soft tyres for Websy on the outside of row 4, he's got Brashman alongside him, Brashman his second RDL start, his first one was back in Australia, round 3, so that's 12 rounds ago. this season. It's been a long time, almost 3 months or so. Down lines up P6 on the mediums for Ferrari. It's Cotton alongside him on row 3. Row 2, Matthew, of course, off his first RDL points as well. Lining up in 4th place on the soft, 3rd place for Lando also on the soft tyre. And a difference in tyre choice for the two front runners. So Che on mediums and Grumio on softs. So what's the game plan here for those two cars? They line up. Grumio there. As far forward as he possibly can. He's practically on the start line there. Everyone nailing their grid boxes for now. Lando's gone over his. Let's see if we get any more of those. Scotty Goblin obviously a bit late to the grid there. A bit late getting going rather, but it joins up. That's here. Right, so there we go then. The last two cars with their spots on the grid. Here come the lights for the Dutch Grand Prix. Round 15 of Season 18. It's time to bring the action. Lights out to the floor, and we are racing here in Zandvoort. Grumio with a good start. Will try and cover off Che, going down towards that first corner to the inside, but back up to the top, covering turn 1. Grumio with the lead. Che second, Lando third, Matthew fourth, and Cott runs to the top 5, but goes side by side with Matthew looking for P4. Going into turn 2, around the outside goes Scott, takes 4th place away. Down line goes to the outside, going to 3. Lock up one of the cars in front. It's a big kerfuffle further back as everyone fights for position here. Grumio leads away, nice and clean over Che. Good getaway there from the championship leader, then AT taking P9 from Alvar there. He's got Imri right behind him. He's got to be careful in terms of making his way through these cars. Obviously, it has to be a patience game for the Haas drivers that come through. Webbs, he's to try and challenge Brashman. HP Cook down 2 places. And there's Imri to the inside now of AT looking for 9th place on corner exit out of turn 10. No contact there. And making the pass, going alongside, goes ahead. And into 9th. As Brashman still being challenged by Webbsy. Down there in P6, Matthew P5. Down hold position for start after the top 3. DRS in play when they emerge to begin the second lap. And of course we get our first dose to that going out of turn 10 and towards 11, the end of the first sector. End of the second sector rather. Grumio 1 minute 15.4, fastest lap on the board. Bonus point going his way if he can hold that for the Grand Prix. Red J in the pit lane here, so early stop for the Mercedes team. What's going on there? And a wing change in the order. End plate damage on the right side of Reggie's car. Change being made, and perhaps on a day where the longest stint in the first stint was going to be the game plan. Not in this case. Medium tyres on for Reggie back on the racetrack as Che getting to work here, trying to challenge Grumio. Of course, he saw these two keep it quite close over the course of last week's Grand Prix. Grumio lay in wait throughout the entire race and went for it on the last lap. Yellow flag behind. I'm not quite sure who that's for. Everyone seems to be all okay, but Che will have DRS here. But Lando might get to him first. Grumio with a good enough exit here. We'll keep an eye on battery as well. In terms of position change in this thing so far, 2 drivers have gained 3 places, those drivers being Imri and Obsessed. So Mercedes getting more and more confident in their chances in recent weeks, but of course with AT now consistently trying to contend for points and EJ scoring last week, that'll make their job a bit more difficult as Che goes to the inside and takes the lead from Grumio for the first time today. Goes up the track a little bit though, slides up the racetrack, allows Grumio to open the door again to try and go for that spot. Can't do it for now, so Che now leads on the medium tyre there. So Cotton Matthew get close to comfort there going through turn 3. Top 6 trying to pull away here. Webbsy is past Brashman. There's now trying to catch up to these guys. Brashman holding AT at bay. Alvar the last spot on the points. He's got HP closing him down. Ben in P12 in a McLaren sandwich is at Alpine right now. PJ P13. It's Obsessed 14th on the soft tyre. JB, then Ethan, Cotley Goblin P17. Of course, didn't set up in qualifying. These are the first laps he's done all day. EJ 18th. Imri, has he made a stop? He has made a stop. Not sure what's happened to him there. Apologies, missing as to why he made the stop. I'm imagining a front wing change. Frustrating there, because I won't imagine what damage he's got. Che, 6 tenths in front of Grumio now. He's trying to open a lead if he can. Dan taking P5 from Matthew here, and there goes Webbsy on the outside. Might try and get into the inside going into turn 11. Sorry, it's turn 13 rather. And there goes Williams at the inside, clearing him on corner exit, but Matthew might come back at him though. Look for the switchback, can't do it, gets all out of shape there towards 14, and Brashman will take full advantage down the main straight. DRS is in deploy, go down towards turn 1, so pull to the inside of the racetrack, try and get alongside with the braking zone, but can't quite do it. Let's try and dives in, Matthew can't do it. Matthew holds him off rather, and holds on to P7. ATP9 is still Alvar the last point as it stands right now. And Che holds the lead over the 3 cars that have been his closest challengers the last few weeks. Of course, Grumio the championship leader, and of course his closest challenger across the season, and it's Lando and Cotton P4. P5 now, sort of bridging the gap between himself, between Cott and Websy as it stands, the two Williams cars. Good first sector for Matthew there, purple sector 1, as he makes his way through towards turn 8. So Imri and Reg, the cars with a lot of work to do, have banking on a safety car of some kind. Early damage not how Imri wants to start his day. And I wonder if we'll mainly be seeing any passes for position happening for the most part in the DRS on the main straight as Grumio looks to try and force way around Che here. Forcing the issue but can't quite make the move yet. But he'll be right on his tail going through turn 13. And DRS open up on corner exit. Pull along 7 on the main straight. We did start getting that 5. Che defends the inside but Grumio doesn't need that challenge. Goes dancing past and Lando might try and take him too. Double whammy for the RB cars into turn 1. Close to contact there. Oh, Che was going to run into the back of Grumio for a second there but doesn't. Trying to thread the needle, trying to open the door there. Che to the inside at turn 2. Very tight, 2 fantastic drivers, 3 fantastic drivers going out on the racetrack. Grumio slides up, Che goes back alongside again. What racing this is. Constant chess match. With cat-like reactions all the way around through turn 7. And Che right on Grumio's tail there. Practically sniffing his gearbox as he goes into turn number 8, to turn 9. Top 7, top 8, top 9, all a big train as of right now. DRS train has always been a case to keep an eye on at Zandvoort. It's a shame to think that by F1 27 we won't have this track on the calendar anymore. What racing this has been so far? We're only 5 laps in. EJ and Courtney Goblin seem to have lost the train here. Ethan P16. On to lap 6 as Brown tries the inside on Che into the first corner. And Che slides up. Lando to the inside. What's their contact there? They're sort of forcing each other. Lando might try and take the lead to the inside of Grumio now. Going into turn 3. Grumio might slide up again. Grumio does slide up, but not as much this time, so holds the lead. And Lando looking to try and push past and take P2 away. And Dan, watching his teammate try to take these two on, but has caught in his way for winning try and challenge. Further down the order. He's looking to apply it now further back, but this top 9 train as of right now is where it's happening right now. Oh, caught the slide there. Cott saves it narrowly, but falls to 6th place, falls behind his teammate, contact with his teammate. Matthew makes a bit of contact too with Brushman. Everyone seems to be all okay, no damage done to any cars. RB 1-2, but the 2 Ferraris now right in position to try and take them on. So it's formation right now between the top 3 teams. Matthew being challenged by AT there going through turn 12. That's allowed Alvar, HB Cook, Ben to catch up. These guys all within DRS range of each other. Obsessed, the first car out of DRS right now, but only about a 10th or so. But PJ might come back in and take advantage of that down the main straight and going down towards turn 1 to the outside of the Mercedes into the first corner. He'll take that place. P13 for PJ now. And behind them, there goes Ethan passing JB. Can JB try and come back at him at all? Not for now. We'll keep an eye on those guys. AT passing Matthews P8. The train splits up a little bit now. Nothing wrong with that as long as the train stays together. The race can still be interesting, still be entertaining. It's been very exciting so far. 7 cars on soft tyres on the racetrack right now. You think how long will they go and stay on there for the pit? Of course, the 2 RB cars crucially on the same strategy by the looks of things. If we know those 2 are trying to take those tyres as far as they can, and from there they can try and afford to switch to mediums, and they'll try and do that. But obviously the soft you can't take too far in this game. You can't really make a mark any more than I'd say 12 laps at best. So that might be the target. Shane Landlord closed the gap on Grumio again onto lap 8 of this Grand Prix. Landlord closing in, tries the inside of his teammate into the first corner. Landlord's there. And Landlord takes the lead for the first time today. Brashman passing Cott, those 2 side by side into turn 2. Brashman sliding a little bit there, got loose going into off the corner and going into 3 laps to fall back behind Cott in 6th place. Grumio now want to try and get the lead back from Landlord. But Che want to try and get that place before Grimio gets to his teammate again. Going towards turn 9. Che may go for it, diving in on the inside. The two type of attacks go side by side there through turn 9 into 10 now. Che on the outside. The Grimio with the preferred line going through the left-hander. And he'll close back in on Landlord now. Might he try and move? Won't do it. Landlord holds him off. And the train's sort of starting to reform a bit now. It's a long train. Goes down to P12. PJ obviously passing obsessed with P13. Ethan and JB now with these guys. EJ and Cockney Goblin's fallen back a bit, but Imri starts to close on Cockney. And Red J currently getting frustrated, I imagine. Given this race, we thought he could score points, but there's still a long way to go. Oh, contact there. Che's front of the pace. Is there damage in that throw? It looks all okay. As he butts back into line there at the expense of Cott, who dives to the inside. Turn 3, close to contact again. What happened to Che there? Going to turn 1. Obsessed Gamer stops, making his pit stop for the first time today. Both Mercedes cars are in. End plate loss. Well, he's left the pit lane. Obsessed may have forgotten to change his wing there. He may have turned repair wing damage off. Now the two Mercedes cars run dead last in this race. So Grimio back in the lead then. Landlord still second. Dan third. Websy now fourth. And Che in fifth. Seems to what happened there. Didn't work out well for the Ferrari. As now here comes Dan trying to challenge Landlord. Trying to slow things down for the RBs until his teammate can catch back up. It's RB City right now, so these guys come through. Off turn 14 again. Landlord closing the gap to Grimio. Likely won't go for a move this time. On to lap 10. Actually, Landlord's closing it right. Knott's there. And I thought he was going to trap the inside, but Dan goes for it instead. Up, looking underneath. Contact with the two bang tyres. Dan sliding. Saves the car, but falls back behind. And as Che still holding Cott off. And Cott goes for another sliding around the outside. Locks up the tyres again. And he does that. Could open the door up for Rashman or Matthew to come through. AT and P9 right now. Currently on course for points. Off the turn 10 again. I wonder if the game plan is for Landlord to keep close to his teammate, perhaps not go for that move and allow Grimio to maintain that lead. Because of that, Grimio will be getting, if he's still got the fastest lap, he doesn't. Websy has that, but he'll be getting 15 points now. That'll put him 58 points clear of Che in the championship. That's 2 race victories. He'll be 50 points in front of Che finishes second. On to lap 11 here, and everyone all bunched up together. Got to the inside of Che into 1. Contact there between the two cars. And Cott forcing Che onto the curbs a bit going into turn 2. Cott might try to switch inside, but can't do it. So Che then stays in P5 for now. Everyone's all bunched up together. This is fantastic to watch. Of course, while DRS trains aren't always welcome in league racing, they're still always chaotic because Che tries the inside of Websy there for P4. It's those little moves the drivers make. It's difficult to find those rare opportunities to try and make a pass. So go for things slightly more audacious. They'll take more risks and go for it in slightly more audacious places. So Che may take P4 here. So the risk will be worth the reward. Up the inside, almost spinning there. That was very tight and almost getting tagged by the Williams behind him going into turn 12. But through 13. Che maintains P5, but obviously both cars have DRS here, and Landlord a lot closer to Grimio this time around. So we could see another lead change here. Sometimes it make more sense for these guys to swap places. But Landlord lifting then, so Landlord's job right now is simply just to maintain the spot. As Websy goes way deep there at turn 1, Che slides as well though. So both cars making errors, and that means that Che maintains his spot. Sorry, Websy maintains his place, but Cott is going to try to advance his. In still in 6th place right now. We're a third of the way through this Grand Prix. It's been absolute action all the way. Imri around Cockney Goblin here. He played 14 seconds on the Red Bull on those hard tyres, and is now working on chasing down EJ himself is 9 seconds off of Ethan. Imri's gap to the leader right now is currently 21 seconds. So you have to try and get ahead as best you can. Of course, in terms of Imri's tyre history in this race, Imri started on the soft tyre, so he's made his stop already. Obviously, had to change that front wing, but he's made his stop in terms of 2 different compounds, so he doesn't need to hit onto another set of a different set of tyres. He can go for a set of soft towards the end of the race if he wants to. There goes Lando this time down the inside of Grumio into turn 1, and Lando takes the lead. Websy and Che again side by side. Che might have him this time. Che on the outside for 2, but the inside for 3. And into the grass a little bit there, but narrowly clearing Websy. So move Che back into 4th place. Now does Dan let his teammate through to try and challenge? I'm sure Dan would love to add to his tally. Just 1 race win this season, he won at Imola. I'm sure would love to add win number 2 to his ideal career. There he probably to try the inside for a second there, doesn't go for it. And there's sort of 2 little trains here going on right now, but perhaps even 3. These guys are split up, but JB leading the 2 Saubers behind in P13, and in front of them it's AT and P8 now. Che makes the pass on Dan up front. It's Landor leading Grumio. I imagine we'll try and get that place back, going towards turn 1 again. In terms of pit stop though, because no one's actually made a scheduled pit stop as of yet. So do we see any takers this time around? Landor getting to the inside of Grumio corner exit there, and pulling into the lead. But these 2 pulled enough of a gap to they need to go forward under pressure to the Ferrari. So Matthew passing AT there for 8th. PJ passing JB for 13th. Maybe in South of Sanders now. Imri now 3 seconds back from EJ and 20 seconds off the lead. And holds it, done for the majority. It's lap 14 of this race. 22 laps to go, so plenty of time for more action. And we could try and get some here, because I imagine Che will try and go for a move for P2 if he can. But Landor getting a good toe off his teammate. And these 2, when they line up together, it's rare they line up like this, but they are very tough to take on. It's been a while since we've seen Grumio and Landor almost forcing a blockade here at the front of the field. But normally you see them, when they do this, try and peel off into the sunset. Here they're just swapping places, keeping things collected between the pair. They're on to lap 15 now. Landor takes the lead from Grumio. Grumio locks up a little bit there, and we can switch to the inside. Might go side by side with his teammate off of turn 1. Can't do it. Landor leads. Still formation between the top 3 teams right now. RB, Ferrari, Williams. Red Bull in 7th with Brashman, Haas 8th with Matthew, AT and Alvar for McLaren and Aston Martin. 1.3 now behind DJ. So the gap is closing. Showing a slightly wider line there to go through turn 9. I was trying to set it for 10. The RB's hold position again. Che struggling to find way around these guys right now. HB Cook and AT side by side. AT going a bit wide there, I think. Losing 2 spots, and HB Cook with full advantage. Of course, as a reserve, can't qualify and score championship points, but top 10 finish in his daily race would be fantastic to see. It's going to reclaim the lead, but Che might try the inside. It's turn 1. Very late on the brakes there. Slight tap to the side of the RB. Alongside, we'll have to come back into line though. Landor with a better exit out of turn 2. Oh, around goes Brashman. Oh. He's saved it. Oh, there he goes. And Brashman's 2nd Grand Prix draws to a close as the safety car is deployed. And that will be frustrating. As it was challenging Cox's position there going into turn number 3. Sorry, towards turn 3, out of turn 2. Out of the race then. Down our first retiree. And this opens things up in terms of strategy. But what happened there? So, perhaps a touch there between Cott and Brashman. Didn't 100% see it, so we'll also won't pin the responsibility on either driver. That's obviously be the steward's job. Che and Dan here, beginning to have a bit of space if they can. And now Grumio, I think Lando bring back Che into Dan. Gives him a bit more room here to avoid double stack, or to avoid losing too much time from double stack. They may lose some still. And Lando's going to lose out massively here, I think, in terms of timing. But Che and Dan have played this quite well. Or at the very least. And a very slight stop for Dan there. Let's go on the race car to wait here for everyone to come through. Find the slot. So Grumio leads off pit road. Che off the pit lane. Che in second. Lando third. Dan now fourth. So Mappy P5, Alvar, then HB Cook, PJ in the top 10. Number of cars staying out. And of course, this will bring drivers like Imri, EJ, Red J, Obsessed back into the race as well. So everyone will go back together and we'll get set for what should be a fantastic restart. Of course, Grumio, there's one driver who knows what they're doing. Restart to Tim. Lap 17 of this thing, and we're just under halfway through the Dutch Grand Prix. RB have been the class of the field so far, but of course Ferrari have been giving them a constant challenge. Che in particular led earlier on at one point, as Mills has swept the lead back since, thanks to what happened at turn 1 a couple of laps ago. But although that slide, I think after contact, I imagine after contact, with one of the cars around him. Everyone's all back together now, and once Red J, Courtney and Obsessed come round to the back of the pack, we'll have a restart. There'll be likely either 17 or 18 laps to go. And once you complete this lap, that'll be officially halfway. In terms of who's going to win this Grand Prix, I said there's no real guess you can make. The two RBs have been quite strong, but you never know which one of them will emerge out front of the flag, whether Lando will go rogue and try and fight for the win himself, try and go for a second win of the season. So you don't know if Che will get the upper hand in both cars, trying to get a 1-2 for Ferrari. All told, it should be a very exciting second half of the race. Here's the last three cars now joining up. Red J will join Imri at the back of the pack. Courtney and Obsessed both there. As you get towards the second split, likely at race control with the confirmation. There it is, safety car in this lap. So we've had half the race then. And Che's around. What's happened to Che there? Was there contact? What just happened to him? Did not catch that. But he's around, he's lost an end plate too, so check the back of the field now. And that could be costly. That could be hugely costly to his championship chances. He was in P2. I think he must have just been weaving a bit too much there. But Grumio will lead us away and back to racing. 1-2 for RB once again on lap 19. Che is staying out. He's going to try and run it as it is. So we'll see if he can charge back to the field and try and limit the damage. Can he get himself into a podium spot once again? Can Imri fight back? One of the Mercedes cars come through. Obsessed had pace earlier on the race. Caught outside of the points now. Let's try and get back in the top 10. Two Williams cars have been cost a lot of points so far. And we're lagging. There goes Webster at the circuit. He'll rejoin. A lot of chaos. What has happened here? Everyone's all over the shop. A number of cars are damaged here. EJ's got damage. Ben's lost his wing. Cott's off the circuit now as well. What is going on this restart? Cott's got damage. Is Webbsy okay? Webbsy looks to be alright. Was it Cott or Webbsy? No, apologies. What the hell just happened? On flat 20 then, Grumio leads. Perhaps completely unaware of what happened behind him there. Caught 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. This one's going with the intake, we'll drop the frames. 16 laps to go. Or 17 as of now, 16 with the cross the line. Imri in P11 there, fighting way past Webbsy. Side by side, those two going in towards turn 8. Contact impairment, I think I saw there. Some bang tyres. Still in Grumio's tail there, but Dan might try and get to him first. Down those soft tyres, so it's a change of strategy there for the Ferrari. I think perhaps might have anticipated going long on that first stint, but Lando goes to the inside, takes the lead. Oh, I thought there was contact between two RBs for a second there. Lagging a bit on my end. There's all over the shop here. AT and P5 right now. Taking full advantage of all that chaos. So Grumio, they're still trying to get back around. Landlord as it stands. Dan buying his time in third. Matthew P4. 18 now, right with this train. He's not actually managed to close the gap. And there goes Matthew on the circuit. I think it's difficult to tell what's going on here. What's actually wrong, what's not. Fighting quite hard. Dan's next second though. Grumio takes the lead back into turn 1. Side by side, might try and go for a corner exit. Can't do it. Che fastest lap, so Che in P13 right now to try and fight back some points. Moving back into points, Matthew fighting Lando for third place. Fastest up now, 1 minute 10.849. That's his point if he can get back in the top 10. I think you need a safety car at this stage to try and change that. Grumio still leading. Laps to go. Excuse me, sorry, 14 laps to go. Che to try and fight his way around PJ and Webbsy as it stands. But Obsessed and Red J making moves. They're the P15, P16 right now. Get up the track a little bit there. Holding off Che, so it's the inside, going off of turn 3 and making the pass. K on those soft tyres, getting to work. And clearly that end plate damage not affecting him too much. Yellow flag, and that will be for Cott, who's around. And his second run in at turn 3 of the night. Turns around, gets himself going again, but last of the running cars, Ben and P18. Grumio still leads. So top 4 together now. AT's dropped off pace a little bit, but still there in P5 and still looking to try and score his first points. There'll be a big 10 points for Aston Martin going their way to add to the 4 EJ scored last week in Belgium. It'll be a big boost for us trying to avoid finishing behind Mercedes in the Constructors' Championship. Grumio in complete control of this thing, obviously with his closest championship rival down the order in P10. That'll be a full 24 points he's getting right now. That'll take his championship lead up to 67. Unless Dan can try and stop him. Dan knows his objective is to try and win this race, or trying to avoid Grumio winning this race, so that his teammate doesn't lose too many points in the standings. On the tail of Landl, looking if he can for his first RDL podium, and the race has been very chaotic indeed. Be a good one to end that first podium. I think Cott's around again. Yes, he is. Losing the car on corner exit at turn 12. Easy mistake to make. Dan going in towards turn 11. Cott again around, and he's about to go a lap behind here. The leaders catch him. So blue flags in effect. The top 4 find their way past him. Going again, try and get out AT's way. Black will perhaps see him come into the pits. Change on to some new set of tyres. And he comes. Will this be a retirement from Cott? I imagine it will be. And there it is, so Cott out of the race. It's down to 18 cars left in this Grand Prix. 4 of whom are still running nose to tail. ATP 5, Imri's fall back to 6th place, and JB, Websy, Che and Ethan in the top 10. Both of our rookies are falling out of the top 10. Oh, Matthew onto the grass a little bit there. On the outside, going in. Dan leads the way right now. Come back at him. Blasting past there. A full 10-15 miles an hour quicker down that main straight. That's the effectiveness of the DRS at a circuit such as this. Grumio back in the lead within the final 10 laps, and Imri passing 18 now for P5. So Imri coming charging back. Has he got a chance, maybe, to get a podium or even to try and win this race? He's got the pace, it's evident. It'd be a remarkable comeback if he was to finish this one off. He's currently only 5 seconds behind the leaders. And Ben taking the first penalty for track limits all night. It's been 27 laps. It's been a fantastic evening in terms in that respect. But of course, chaotic further back. close to Grumio here. But obviously on those soft tyres, I can't imagine will last too much longer. Imrie with clean air in front of him, getting to work and chasing down Matthew, his teammate for fourth. Matthew himself 1.2 behind Landlord. And there's about a second up to Grumio. But DRS is keeping him with it right now. Grumio using overtake, trying to pull away. On about 28, but he's not pulling away enough. That can go into no DRS. And as a result, try and blast away later on. Perhaps hunting and waiting for a mistake of some kind from the car behind him. Preferably down, in his case, I'll try and hold Landlord as well. Obviously, looking for a 1-2 for RB as these two seek another Constructors' Championship title together. Season 14, 4 seasons ago, Landlord won what we thought at the time was it would be his last season in the RDL. But in the end, it turned out just to be a one-season sabbatical. He came back for season 16, and since then has been a contender. Again, 8 laps to go. For whilst we're down the main straight going towards turn 1, down to the inside. Takes the lead from Grumio. Matthew P4. Imrie still not getting a lot of time here. JB passed by Websy and Che into the first corner, contact in the pair of them. Che on the inside there. Takes the place away. P8 for him. Both Che and JB, one of the 4 cars that are on soft tyres right now, one of them being the leader, Dan. He's going to have some work to do, is keep both those 2 cars behind him, as well as maintain those soft tyres all the way to the end. By himself, they're not getting a lot of time. There's come back at Dan here. Dan using his overtake. So a bit of a cushion there. We're into the final 7 laps this thing. Locks up a little bit going to turn 1. Looking to pass on AT. Is there a risk that AT falls out the points as PJ passes Ethan into that first corner? 2 sour swapping places. JB looking to try and score a point after obviously happened late on with Alpine last week, in particular Curtis spinning out and retiring with just a handful of laps to go, costing the team some points there. Websy now leads this little train. A bit tail end of the train, Che and P8 here, and trying to get as high as P6 if we can. Imrie not making much more progress now, those tyres are shot by this stage. Look at mostly worn tyres across the field here at this point. Save those guys on hard tyres who could be a bit stronger in these last 6 laps. But can Dan stop Grumio? Going to want to be close to the champion, if not in front. On that last straight. So the last round to the flag will be crucial. Yeah, DRS goes out of turn 13, so we need a perfect exit from there. It needs to be right on the tail of the race leader to have a chance. So obviously the DRS will help his case, but Grumio will likely have a lot of battery stored up as Che passes AT for P8. AT's 10 points become 4. And there's every chance it could still become 0. PJ is closing that gap, but if both towers get past him, then that'll be it. And not to mention that Ethan has Alvar on his tail as well. So a number of cars who are hitting their strides there on the hard tyres towards the end of the race. AT can try and stay with this train, that will definitely help his chances. But PJ though breaking away from Ethan and Alvar behind him and looking for more points to add to his one for now. front again. It's still only a handful of laps to go now for Grumio to hold that lead. He's doing a good job right now. Those mediums likely got a bit more still in the tank. And Dan has the least battery of anyone on the top 3 right now. Matthew trying to close that gap back in, but Imrie closing on him. Imrie now 2 seconds behind his teammate. And there isn't long to go. It's the last 5 laps of what's been a chaotic Dutch Grand Prix so far. Through the right-hander. Dan needs a bit more here. He needs to find himself a way around Grumio somehow. But first he needs to find a way up to Grumio and actually keep pace with the race leader. I think we're doing P4 right now. And looking to advance, increase their advantage on Williams. But they'll be outscoring here by 14 points. Constant retirement not helping their case there. Webbsy only P6. Close that down as much as he can. 4 laps to go. Time is running out. Red J penalty there. And a frustrating day from Stady that after the. Perhaps they were confident going into this one. No doubt we'll get talk from both Obsessed and Red J at the flag. But it's still Grumio here, and almost a second in front. Just a couple more laps to go. And he's pulling out of DRS range. And that could be game, set, and match. We can do that. Dan is sticking with him just. We get to the detection point exit at turn 12. Dan is in range. Maybe. He is. That'll keep him in there for a little bit longer, but then Grumio is trying to check out now, trying to disappear. And Dan didn't get DRS apologies. For some reason, it was turned off for him, and Landau comes charging through on the inside. Landau takes P2 away, and that could be the race. Imrie closing now on Matthew. He's got DRS. 80th second out of range from Che. Che in P7, I'm trying to nab one more place here, but we know he'll be losing points to Grumio. Tough day for a number of challenges today. The props to Che for still being on pace despite the end plate loss. Who knows where he'd be as of right now if not for that spin leading on to the restart. Guess we'll never know. But likely we're up on that podium fighting with his teammate and the 2 RB cars for the race win. And this will be a huge step forward for Grumio in the title hunt. A title hunt that he's been in control of. And now stands just 2 laps from his 10th win of the season. Unless Landau can try and take it from him in the closing moments. 2 laps to go. Will Landau try and fight his teammate for the win? Imrie takes P4 back. Given the place he was in on lap 2, it's been a remarkable race from fight back from this far back. Safety car obviously playing into his hands, but he took full advantage on the restart, and since then has worked his way up, 1 away from the podium. If something goes wrong for these 2 cars in front, he could find himself on the rostrum potentially. He's 3.5 back, so he needs to rely on some sort of mistake. Landau may try and challenge Grumio for the win now. I can't imagine these 2 staying in formation by themselves on a circuit like this. I think Landau tries to go for the win. Both cars with a decent amount of ERS in the tank. Yellow flag, and that's Zanoff. Damn the gravel there, and that'll be a gut-wrenching sight for the garage over at Ferrari. As Che takes P6 back, could try to take P5 from Che before the flag. But he's done 18 laps, no soft tyres. I think it's likely that RB have got this one in the bag. Then yellow flag for Dan is out of the points there. Crucial mistake. He's got a is he got a puncture? He's got a puncture in that car. I think he does. Yes. And that'll explain it. Damn, puncture. The 2 RBs coming through the start of the lap. One more to go here at Zandvoort. And Landor going for the outside of turn 1. Will the two teammates scrap for the win, or will they follow home formation? Down out the points, puncturing that car. Ferrari have well and truly carked it. Haas sets to be the teams who score second most points today. I think EJ's gone around. AT's on 7th place here in the closing moments. We'll get a look at everyone as they cross the line later on in about a minute or two. Dan coming towards the pits. His race is over. EJ with a puncture as well. Puncture's starting to hit now in the late moments of this race. But I think Grumio has this one wrapped up at this point. I doubt Landon will try and challenge him. Keep an eye on Che. He's been on those tyres for as long. Could his tyre also blow? And do we see these two make it entertaining to everyone at the flag? Do they go for one last photo for this moment? At the end of this Dutch Grand Prix, Laos will get everything in the closing seconds. Getting deja vu to last season when these two are like this. Landlord closing the gap. And up towards the line. One catch Grumio. And Grumio by just under two tenths wins the Dutch Grand Prix. Landlord second. Imrie unbelievably takes the podium for today. Matthew finishes 4th. More good points for Haas. Fantastic day for them in the end. Webb's into P5. 10 points for the flag. Ben fastest lap at the end. Che's tyre holds on to take P6. AT scores his first points. PJ narrowly beats JB for 8th place. 9th for JB. And Ethan took the last point at the expense of Alvar. HP Cook survives his first RDR race. Fantastic debut for him. He's done very well today to make the flag. Obsessed P13 in the end. A day all over the shop for Mercedes, I think it has to be said. Courtney Goblin, his first 36 laps of the day, finishes in P14, P15 for Red J. From the first lap, and it's been a tough day all day long for him. Dan in the end gets a fresh set of soft tyres on. Won't sit the fastest lap. He'll take P16 away from this race. And Ferrari have had a big loss today in the championship. EJ coming through will finish P17. His tyre, I think, also blew in the late stages. I think we saw him coming out of turn 12 with problems. EJ over the line. And Ben will finish P18 a lap down. But Grumio wins it then. And a solid drive throughout. A chaotic one, to say the least. And Zandvoort once again cooks up another classic RDL spectacle. 10 wins on the season, imagine that. Grumio now, I think, almost a shoe-in to take the title this season. And it's still 9 rounds to go, so plenty of time for things to change. Something could still go wrong, but right now it's looking like his game, as it has done in previous seasons. But Grumio wins here at Zandvoort. Landau will finish second, and Imrie, in what he's quoted as perhaps his best RDR race to date, finishes in third. Celebrations beginning for RB then, and celebrations beginning for Haas as well. So they get a car on the podium once again, and Matthew P4 as well. So things have been good for them today. And that'll do it in terms of the racing. Of course, we'll turn now to the post-race interviews at the end of a very, very exciting Grand Prix. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I thoroughly enjoyed that. Great fun all the way around. And we'll see what everyone has to say in terms of their performance across the Grand Prix. Let me know your thoughts down in the chat. Again, I hope you enjoyed that one. It was definitely mad. And we'll see if we get any rivals in the commentary box. But still, all over the shop today. Unlucky for the two Ferraris today, of course. Che with the spin under the safety car, and obviously Dan laid on with that puncture. Long day for both those two cars. RB had things under control. They never really looked like they were being stopped over the course of this race. Haas had a pretty up and down day, but in the end managed to come through with P3 and P4, so solid points there. But of course, 215 points off of coming into today, 215 points back from the two lead teams in the championship. And that would mean that RB take a huge lead of the constructors out of this one. The 1-2 for them. And Ben Fastest up right at the end, of course, once scored the point for it, he finished outside of the top 10. Imrie 19th to a podium. I think, truthfully, we'll cap it off there. That'll do it then, you guys. So no one's about, so we'll call it there. I hope you guys enjoyed this race in the Racers Driving League, Season 18, Round 15. Next week will be... we have two rivals who have just come in as I'm capping things off. We've got both JB and Obsessed. So we'll get some interviews after all. Fantastic. Boys, I'm over to who wants to go first. I'm okay. I was just signing off, truthfully. We'll come to JB.
I'll go first.
JB, we'll come to you first of all, Queen. Obviously, things were a slightly tougher start for you, I think, in terms of the way the rain came in Q1. Another elimination there. Was it just bad timing in the end?
Yes and no. I mean, I should have done better on the first run because everyone's first run was in the dry, and mine just wasn't. My sector one was pretty rubbish. So, at the end of the day, my qualifying's not been great. My race pace is usually my strength. Just hopefully next week I can get into Q2.
As you say, race pace a lot stronger. Of course, solid points on the board for Alpine in the end after a very chaotic day. I mean, I think everything that could happen in this race happened. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was the safety car wasn't great timing because it was about 6 laps before I planned to stop onto the softs, so I had to go 6 laps longer, and by my calculations, my tyres would have been on about 90% by the end of the race, but for the last 10 or so laps, I just tried to... It was the front left that was really hurting, so all the right-handers, I was really just trying to take a bit less speed and a bit smoother, and I managed to finish on 78, so just managed to get the tyre to hold on. I know Dan had a puncture out in front when his hit 80, so a bit lucky really to get to the end. But I'll definitely take points because this was the 6th week of not of not scoring. It was going to look like, but got it in the end.
And of course, a few points over Red Bull as well, so that will help you close in on those guys in the constructors. But obviously, next week's race will be the 4th 100% race at Monza, so that should be an exciting one. What's the prospect there?
Not great. I mean, as you probably saw today, my strength is high downforce tracks, so it's kind of the opposite. But it's like I say, it's 100%, and it's probably not going to feel like 100% because obviously it's the fastest track on the calendar. So we'll probably be done in like an hour 15 or something like that. So I'm hoping it's a good race at least, and maybe it'll be wet weather or something, which I thought the race was going to be today, but it didn't end up being that. So hopefully it's a good one next week.
We'll have to see what the Italian weather thinks for next Monday. We've got obviously a good job on points after a very chaotic day, and we'll come now to Reg, because Reg, I wanted to ask you, mate, in terms of the first lap, I mean, I saw you made a change for front wing. What happened there? Because I didn't catch the dream, unfortunately. So what was your perspective? What happened?
I ran into the back of Obsessed, so it was race over from the first corner, which was just massively disappointing. The hards were just too cold, and you think perhaps if I was on the softs or even the mediums, maybe you can afford to break that a little bit later, but it was just so annoying because it's the very first corner of the first lap, and it was wing damage that took it straight to yellow, and I could just feel going around that first lap, you're going through your head thinking, is it going to be worth pitting, or is it worth sticking out there trying to do a Leclerc? But I can't do a Leclerc, unfortunately, so I had to go straight into the pits.
Good reference there. I also watched the race on Sunday. Obviously, the safety car mid-race, was there a bit of hope that that'd be a lifeline for you guys?
Yeah, yeah, that was the hope. Unfortunately, it wasn't quite to be. I don't know. I can't remember. I'm sure Obsessed will say in a minute whether that came at a good time for me. Sorry, at a good time for him. But for myself, yeah, it closes up the pack. It let me go on to the hards where I knew I could go on to it for the rest of the race. I had a really good race there last year. I finished eighth. And I was really hoping for the same going into this weekend, but yeah, not to be. Perhaps I had a setup that just wasn't very good. I think I had the right tire strategy. I think that's to mediums, is what I did last year for the majority of the race. Worked really well. It just didn't work this year. But then I suppose it didn't help when I smashed into the back of my teammate at the first corner, did it? So never mind.
Do you know what? When I did see you pit, truthfully I was gutted for you because I know this is one of the two races you were looking forward to because we discussed it last week. But obviously, one more of those races coming up, Monza next week. What are you looking for? Get another points finish there?
Yeah, I really hope so. Yeah, I like Monza, and I'm really happy that it's a 100% race. So yeah, really looking forward to that. I think it's a track that I don't have to give too much thought of in terms of the setup. So I'm pretty pleased about that because I hate doing setups. But no, I'm really looking forward to that one, and I think it's one of the final 100% races we might have. I know I think we got one in Mexico, which is going to be a really tough one. I might have got that wrong, but
No, that's
this is
right.
I think when I look, it is right. Okay, I think when I looked at the 100% races for the start of the season, it was Monaco and this one that I was the most excited for because I think these are going to be Monaco for the fact that I thought I thought the retirement rate was going to be really high, but it wasn't. I think Mons is one of those tracks where there is the possible for there to be a lot of carnage because it is quite a narrow track in parts, especially through the Lesmos and stuff like that in the middle sector. So I'm looking forward to that one, and it's not going to be one of those where you're going to be really, because you can feel really exhausted after a few 100% races. But as JB said, it's one that's going to go pretty quick because there's not that many proper braking zones. There's only really two braking zones on the track where you're having to really apply a substantial amount of of the brake pads. So yeah, so it should be good.
Should be good indeed. We're obviously looking forward to it, and we'll see if we can get you back in the points next week. We'll come down to Obsessed, who came across the line P30 in the end. Obsessed, I think you must have it all happened to you today because you were sort of right in the eye of the storm in terms of all the chaos around you. Talk me through the race from your perspective.
I was pretty happy with my first lap. I think I gained, what was it, 2 positions within that first lap, maybe 3. And then I was right with JB and PJ, and I kind of just stayed there for a little bit. And then PJ on like lap 8 or 9, I think, took, which turn was it? One of the really fast right-handers, turn 8. He took it a little wide and ended up on the curbing. And I'm not sure like what happened. I'm not gonna like talk on it, but I hit his rear with my front end and got wing damage from that. And then I was gonna pit, and I did pit on that same lap, but they didn't change the wing. So I did a lap on mediums and then went back into the pits and got the wing changed. And I just worked my way back up. The safety car was very helpful. I think I had softs on, maybe mediums, to try to catch back up. So being able to pit when they were kind of dying out and switch to the hards was very helpful.
Yeah, I mean,
And then, yeah, that was pretty much it. I didn't think I was gonna come home P13 until Dan got a puncture and somebody else in front of me took one of the turns really bad and went off into the gravel. So I gained like 2 positions in 15 seconds. So I'm not sure what happened there, but
I know EJ got a puncture himself as well, so that might have been it. But yeah, obviously, definitely a good thing to gain 2 places in about 15 seconds. But you answered more questions for me, Obsessed, so thank you for that. But obviously, in terms of next week's race in Monza, what's the prospect there? What's the game plan? Because obviously, longer race.
I'm not sure. I don't really remember Monza from last season. I know that it's very fast, and very fun, but other than that, I don't really remember a whole lot of it. So it'll almost be a new experience, but yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. I mean, hopefully you should be an enjoyable one. You've got a week or so to get yourself all set for that one, and hopefully we'll see either you or Roger back in the points for next week. Get some points to the ball from Mercedes. So good job today, and obviously solid result in the end. No points, but obviously still solid regardless. Pace was good. I will come now last forward to Dan, who joined us midway through this interview. Dan, commiserations right at the end there. Talk me through what went through your head when that front left went.
A bit of heartbreak, really. Since my win in Imola, I haven't been on the podium, and this was seeming like it's gonna break almost like this curse that I've been having the last few weeks, and it feels really bad. Landlord and Imri both getting good results, both catching up to me in the championship. Should have been a lot better for Ferrari again. He spun under the safety car as well. A lot of pressure on us next week at Monza though. Last time we were at effectively the team's home race, I came through with a win, so I hope to end this curse and repeat a win. But yeah, just heartbroken for tonight.
Fair enough, mate. Well, regardless though, pace was strong for both you and Che over the course of the race. With the safety car, I think throw a wrench in the plans at all in terms of strategy.
It means we had to go onto the softs earlier. Probably about 6 laps earlier than we would have liked. We were expecting the safety car also to go another lap as well, which didn't help. But we had to risk it. We knew in practice and testing that the hards just didn't perform. And when you want to compete with RB, with Grumio and Landlord, you've got to be on top of it all. So yeah. Again, a lot of lessons to be learned from both of us, and looking forward to next week.
Definitely. I will ask you, do you feel any sort of pressure? JB, can you confirm, has a Ferrari ever won at Monza before? Any idea? Do we know? Because I know Landlord drove them at one point.
Give me just a second.
Season 9,
I've got a feeling.
I feel like it has to happen at some point, surely.
Yes, season 9. The Landlord won for Ferrari at Monza.
Yeah, and I also won in season 3 for Ferrari.
Indeed, you did, JB. I wish I'd been around to see it. That's all I'll say. I wish I'd been around to see it. But Dan, with that in mind, then, is there any sort of pressure from you on yours and Chase side to try and end that wait?
There's just I put pressure on myself anyway, no matter the track. But I think because it's Monza, I don't know, something about it. It's just magical. I think the pressure just sort of eases a little bit compared to races like Austria and Spa, and even today at Zandvoort as well. Just something about Monza. It's so good, and it might not be as maybe sweaty as the last few races have been either.
Fair enough, there's always sort of magic about Monza, that in the point where sort of risks are taken and drivers try and go for the win a bit more than perhaps they would at other races. But we'll see how it all turns out next week. Well, thank you guys all for coming along to the interviews. And that will more or less cap it off for tonight. And I was going to cap it about 15 minutes ago to you guys showed up. So thank you guys for coming along. Next week's race will be the next 100% race at Monza, 31st of March, 7 p.m, same time, same place on the Zach RC channel. Make sure to subscribe for more RDL content. And we'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.